Exhaust manifold is now free. I'll slide that. Whoa!
Woo! Yep, I got scared. You heard that.
Well, let's be real. That kind of sucked to find. Nobody likes finding holes in their motor. But either way, we are going to continue with this. So we still need to get the motor out. So let's get back to work. You can call me Mr. Rounded Nuts. I just deleted that thing. I see why it rounded, because this thing is only getting tighter as I go loose. Wish I was like 3 inches taller. Life would be so much easier. I am going to find a replacement nut for this. What a silly design, Toyota. I only pulled the O2 sensor because I thought I couldn't actually pull the exhaust bolt because of the O2 sensor. I'll be back when this bolt's out because this is going to take a while. So we got the exhaust disconnected down there. Because I had pulled the nuts, I did pull the O2 sensor off anyway. So all we got left to get this engine out, I got to pull the torque converter bolts, the bell housing bolts. I gotta get the fuse panel off. We got to go inside, pull the ECU so we can pull the wiring harness out through the firewall. So let's get to it. There she goes. I'm going to put this one through here. So I remember that's my positive. Because this one will be marked with the positive cable cover. That's free. This stays on the transmission. I don't think I actually need to disconnect the ground because I disconnected this. That's free. That's free. That's free. This is the positive. That's the ground wire. Goes there, over there to another ground. That's out of the way. This, see it right there. And then we got a plug back here. Which reminds me of working on the first car I ever worked on, in all honesty. Probably because I worked on a Nissan. So apparently to get that wiring harness through the firewall, we have to disconnect a whole bunch of stuff. But I'm going to try and do this with as minimal removal as possible. The interior's got to go to the back. The screws for this, probably 3 screws up top. Some maintenance records. I don't think the maintenance records really matter if the engine blew up though. I'm glad this engine with a hole in the block was well maintained. That whole thing gets easier. And to get to that screw, you have to remove the glove box. Love it. You could just be like, bow, free. That would be great. That sounded expensive as hell. I mean, that sounded expensive. Because it was. It was definitely expensive. There we go. Toyota said have fun with this one. Dugga machine never lets me down. Well, it looks like this is like a full interior teardown to get this thing out. That's crazy. Here she goes. Go ahead and try and get the rest of this harness pop free. And up, out of here. I don't want to go forward. He's almost out. So the wiring harness routes through right there in that hole, runs down along this piece of plastic, comes up to the ECU. And what's crazy is they don't have a disconnect at the firewall, so you have to rip apart the interior to get it out. With that, let's move on to getting the torque converter bolts out, and we are going to get the bell housing and try and get this engine out tonight. I forgot to mention I did forget to pull the carrier bearing that's mounted to the back of the motor, so I'm going to do that. This is a pretty tight space. It looks like they're 10mm torque converter bolts. I am going to pull the lower bell housing bolts and the torque converter bolts while I'm down here. It's going to be kind of hard to film it. So we got all the torque converter bolts out. I got that bell housing bolt out. I went to move to this side. I didn't get the carrier bolts out. I think it's just a heat shield, really. Then I noticed there is a, let's see if I can get a light in a good spot. There's a bell housing bolt right there. But where that lines up at, so this bolt lines up behind the bar, and I'm not really looking to remove that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my fender engine lift bar, set that up, and see if we can lift this up just enough to clear that bolt out. So I'll catch you guys topside. So what I'm going to do, I already loosened this because I had to figure out what bolt would fit that. I'm going to grab one of my chains. I'm going to hook it here, unbolt here, and see if I can lift it enough to clear that bell housing bolt. That was either a good noise or a bad noise. I could not tell you which one it was. For a moment, I thought it snapped. I was about to be sad. I was like, just keep breaking stuff. First, puts a hole in the block. Then it snaps the engine mount bolt. Woo! Well, she came free. She didn't snap. That's nice. That's lovely, actually. I don't need much. So I'm gonna see if that bit there is enough to get us that bell housing bolt. It's enough. Just barely. Now, if you're going to use the route I just did, I highly suggest you leave every other bell housing bolt in to take this one out, and then proceed with taking the rest of them out. I'm going to tell you right now, this is the last one I'm putting in this car. Because I don't eat no motor. So that got me that bell housing bolt out. I'm gonna set this down and set that bolt back in place. I'm not gonna fully tighten it because I'm probably gonna be taking that out with the engine anyway. So I did go ahead and put on the chain that we're gonna be using to lift the engine up and out. Go ahead and get to these beautiful old bell housing bolts that Toyota likes to hide. And I understand why all that is like, just take the whole thing out. And I'm like, I don't wanna. I am separating this in car. Try this again. I do have a jack on the underside holding the transmission up. I wish I was a little bit taller. My life would be so much easier. Or if I had arms longer than a T-Rex, I'd be going places in life. So I'm going to get this ground disconnected on the engine mount and unbolt this AC line so we have some wiggle room. This ground can go away for right now. Go to a safe and harmonious spot in life. Then I want to take this whole ground. That's free. I'm going to loosen that up so we can swivel that. Should be pretty neutral for what we're doing. So yeah, I'm gonna set up the engine lift. We're gonna set her up in place, put some tension on the motor, and pull these last two bell housing bolts. So I got Sir Johnny Longnose out. Let's get these two 17s out and should be able to lift her on out of here. I don't see anything else still connected. Okay, ratchet it is. Thought the whole car rocked when that one broke free. I don't know if it's got enough juice yet or not, but I'm gonna give it a go. That was enough. See if we can wiggle this motor free of the transmission. Oh, I gotta release that engine mount. There we go. Now she wiggled free. I missed where my wiring harness mounts to my transmission. Whoa! Wasn't ready for that one. And that's how you pull a Toyota 1.8 engine without removing the transmission. Was it easier? I couldn't tell you. But sure beats sitting there trying to line everything back up in a little while. Guys, I appreciate you watching. Our next episode, we're gonna tear this engine down, see if we can figure out why exactly it failed. I ordered all the rebuild parts for this motor because I assumed it was good. There's a hole in the block, as you guys saw. So I did order a motor for it as well. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you next week.